Hello, and welcome to the social service worker information session for our C119. The agenda for today will be the territorial acknowledgement, a little bit of an overview of what exactly social service work is, a overview of our program and our coursework. We're going to say a little bit about field education, the student supports that George Brown offers, as well as why you may consider the SSW program at George Brown, and a little bit of the logistics of the admission requirements, applications and fees, as well as the contact information for us if you have any other questions. My name is Charlene Dunstan. I am one of the co-coordinators for the SSW program. My counterpartner is Patty Hayes, who also works equally in the role of coordinator, and our contact information will be at the end of this presentation. To start off with our territorial and treaty acknowledgement, George Brown College is located on the traditional territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nations and other Indigenous people who have lived here over time. We are grateful to share this land as treaty people who learn, work, and live in the community with each other. What is social service work? So some of you might be coming into this with a little bit of an idea. Some of you might have a much more stronger understanding of what the work is. But in general, we can talk about the fact that social service work supports individuals, families, and communities when trying to manage a variety of different situations, whether they be personal or interpersonal. A lot of them interact with structural issues or systemic issues that we have in society. And basically, what we're trying to do is help people work towards their own sense of safety and well-being. This may come in a variety of different ways. We might support people with structural oppression, with poverty, mental health, substance use. Oftentimes, all of these are intersecting in one family or in one person. Where this work happens can be in a variety of different settings. It can be in a long-term care facility or a shelter or a drop-in or even a supportive housing site. There are many places, formal and informal, where social service work and social service workers uh, do their job. Bottom line is, regardless of where we're doing it, is an underpinning of supporting justice, equity, and social change at a variety of different levels, at the interpersonal level, at the micro level, at the institutional level, at the meso level, and at the government or stratus level at the micro level. Okay. In all of this, we're trying to work in solidarity with, alongside communities to help them determine what their goals are and how to navigate the social service system. How our particular George Brown College C119 program looks at this is that we make sure that all of our courses are grounded in an anti-oppressive and anti-colonial practice. Okay. We guide those practices under the Indigenous education protocols that were developed by the Niguin Council, as well as George Brown College's Indigenous Education and Services. So we work very closely with our Indigenous education at George Brown to make sure that that perspective and decolonization is also foundational in the courses that we teach. We prioritize social innovation and social justice, making sure that our students understand the systemic barriers and the marginalization that happens in the communities that we serve, as well as having a very strong focus on critical reflection, on self-analysis, on having our students understand their own social location and where they are in the world, where their power is, where their privilege is, in order to foster social awareness and to be able to understand how they can be part of the solution as opposed to part of the problem. The program will guide you through um, starting to build those essential tools for the work, developing your knowledge, expanding your values and your skills that will allow you to work with a diverse group of people who have a diverse set of problems. Our program is 2 years full time, and it is 2 solid years. We do not have our core courses in the spring, so there's no way to say, oh, well, I want to do it in less than 2 years, so I'm just going to go straight through the summer instead. Our courses aren't offered in the summer. So when we say 2 years, we mean from, and I'll go into this a little bit more in another slide, from April to December is one semester, and then January to April is another semester, right? And you do that twice. We only start in September. We do not have a intake in January. The only time you can start is in September. And once you are successful in our program and graduate, you can apply to the Ontario College of Social Workers and Social Service Workers. That is our governing body. And once you are apply and are accepted to them, you have received the official designation of a registered social service worker. So, as I said, ours is a 2 year program. It is full-time coursework. Our classes are scheduled anywhere between 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. any day, Monday through Friday. Now, we try our very hardest not to make sure that students don't have class every day, that they at least maybe have at least one day where they may not have class, but that is not always a guarantee. And you may not have class all day. You may have class in the morning and not in the afternoon, or vice versa. But all of this to say that um, maintaining a full course load as well as a full-time job would be extremely difficult. And you need to take that into consideration when you're looking into our program. The classes that we have in year one, it is 6 classes that you take in year one. And there's a typo here. It's not 20 to 25 hours of class. It's actually approximately 18 hours of class. Each class is 3 hours each. And like I said, you have 6 classes um, in your first year. Okay. In year two, you have coursework, you have your normal classes, but on top of that, you have a year-long placement. And your year-long placement will give you 600 hours of experience in the field. In that second year, you have classes 2 days a week. You have placement 2 days a week in the first semester. So 2 days a week from September to December. And then after the winter break, you go back to the same placement, but instead you're there 3 days a week during the second semester. While you are in placement, you still have courses that you take. So while you're only in placement 2 days, you will have classes somewhere interspersed during the other 3 days of the week or the other 2 days of the week. Our program is highly participatory. We have a lot of dialogue, a lot of discussion in class, and small group activities. We bring in guest speakers and lecturers from the field in order to enrich your experience. We have a lot of hands-on activities that we do. So this is not math class. This is not history class where you sit back and you just take notes. For you to be able to get the most out of your time at George Brown, you are going to be engaging in diverse activities and a lot of participation. You must pass all your courses to graduate from the program. Sometimes, oddly enough, students think, well, if I drop a course or if I fail a course, somehow they don't have to take that course again. Just because you failed it or just because you dropped it doesn't mean the requirement for it does not exist, and you are responsible for making sure that you make those up. A passing grade in most of our courses is a 50, which is a D. And our course content is is a balance of critical analysis of yourself as well as of society. Okay. As I said before, there is group work, a fair amount of group work as well as individual work. So you need to be prepared to be able to work in groups. That's not an option. Right. Some of the work and assignments that you have may include things like personal reflections or research papers, in class projects and presentations. We do not do a lot of quizzes and tests, but we will engage you in case studies where we actually give you a case and want you to unpack the scenario and what best practices you would enlist in those situations. Okay. Our classes are not fully online and fully in person. You need to be prepared to attend some classes in person. We've not determined yet exactly what fall 2025 will look like, but I will tell you for the last several years, what we've been doing is in the first semester, you have four core um, social service work classes. The other two classes you have are like a gen ed or an English, but the four core courses of those, two of them are always in person without exception. So you don't have a choice. It's not like, oh, I'll choose the online version of this. No, there are two that are in person, and we are strategic about the ones that we have in person. They're in person because they are very participatory because the way that it is evaluated requires people to be in person. So understand that even if you sign up and say, oh, well, yeah, it's in person, but I'll just read the PowerPoints online or I'll just get someone to take notes for me, you're going to find it very hard to be successful in the class without attending. So the types of courses that we have, this is a list of the courses that you will take while you're at George Brown. We have Power, Privilege, and Identity, Canadian Social Welfare, Values, Ethics, and Professional Practice. Things like understanding and working with groups where you actually are in the classroom, learning how to facilitate and navigate groups. Introduction to Counseling Skills, where you do a lot of one-on-one counseling practice and learning the skills that are necessary for that. Preparation for the field and professional practice is our course that we give you to prepare you to look for a suitable placement. Lifespan development, Indigenous studies, substance use and addiction, perspectives on mental health, social change and proposal development, as well as case management, and of course, your field practicum and your field seminar. And your field seminar is where you come back and unpack what's been going on for you in your placement through the week. In year two, you also get to choose two program specializations, one in the first semester and one in the second semester. And we have these five that are catered solely to social service workers students. We have working with older adults. Obviously, we have an aging population, and social work in that sector is on the rise. Discourses and disability implications for social service work, looking at disability and the disability community and how we as SSWs can support them. Deconstructing internalized privilege and oppression, looking at how the negative stereotypes and marginalization that happens for communities, how that then gets internalized and replicated within their own communities. Social innovation for social change is about looking at not just profit, but understanding how people, profit, and planet can come together in amazing ways to support people who may not otherwise have an opportunity to engage um, in the commercial market in a way that our society um, upholds, as well as counseling with individuals and families, which takes a little bit of a deeper dive into into counseling and the counseling praxis. All students must take an English placement test. We have two levels of English at George Brown, COM 100, and sorry, it says COM 103 there, but it's COM 100 and COM 2000. COM 2000 is mandatory, but we have to know that you are that your English is high enough that you can go into COM 2000, and that's why you take the English placement test. If you do not pass the placement test, you then get put into COM 100, which is just sort of like um, a refresher test to get a refresher course to get you up to speed, and then you can enroll in COM 2000. If you've taken an English or have an English credit from a previous institution, you do still have to take the English placement test, or else they'll just automatically place you into COM 1000 anyway. You can't apply for a transfer credit until you're accepted into the program. So even if you do have a credit, an English credit from another post-secondary, we won't be able to process it until you're actually into the program. And until your credit gets processed, you're supposed to continue to go to your course until you are told that you can drop it. So that's why you want to still take the English placement test. You can take it online or in person, and just have that in your pocket until you get your transfer credit approved if you are in that situation. On top of your English, you have your general education elective credits that you need to take. You take one in semester one and one in semester two, and they um they are a variety of different topics. You would be in class with people from all over the college, not just from the social service worker program. Um, these two courses, the English course and your general electives, are the only courses that are available in the summer semester as well. If for some reason you decided not to take them during the normal school year. As I said before, the SSW core courses are not offered in the summer. So you do have to take them during the regular school year, but these two in particular are available in the summer as well. On to placement. Again, your placement is approximately 600 hours. It is completed in year two, and your placement is at one agency. You don't change agencies from September to December. Again, you have it 2 days a week, and January to April, you have it 3 days a week. Students are responsible for finding their own placements. We do not place students, but what we do have is a full-time field education coordinator who supports students in finding the right placement, in putting out information on agencies who are actively looking for students. We provide students with a list of organizations that have taken SSW students in the past and their contact information. But it is up to the student to send out their resume and have an interview. Our agencies, our sector does not just take students sight unseen. They do want to have some say in what students they take, and that is why you are responsible for making those connections. In your second semester of the program, second semester of your first year, we have a whole 15-week course that is solely dedicated to giving you the tools to find a good placement. We go over resumes, we go over interviews, we're like how to write an intro email, what are the roles of students, how to find placements and on things like 211. All of that information we give to you and support you with. Understand that we have one of the highest graduation rates in the college, and all our students have to take placement. So we wouldn't have those numbers if our students weren't successful in getting placement. So it might seem daunting, but understand that our students get placement and it is quite an amazing experience for them. Students do need to do need to do a vulnerable person check slash police check. And a lot of placements require that. So we require all of our students to do a police check. Understand that if you know, you had an ill-spent youth and your police check is not necessarily clean, do not worry. We have many, many agencies where that is not a factor, where your lived experience is actually seen as a plus as opposed to a minus. And that will not deter you from getting a successful placement. The kind of field education your field placement may consist of is you might have direct service user support. So you might be working one-on-one with individuals or working with groups. You might be doing outreach. You might be interacting in community building initiatives and doing presentations, as well as having an opportunity to have some professional development opportunities as well. Your field education could happen in a variety of different settings. This is just a small list of the kinds of places that our students end up doing their placement. But just to sort of show you that the SSW field is quite broad and there are lots of opportunities to work with a variety of different communities and diverse populations. At George Brown, we have a lot of different student supports for you. While the SSW program trains you to work with people who are facing significant barriers and different forms of oppression, we know that that work can be difficult. And we know that our students may be coming with their own set of issues and struggles as well. So in our program, we're committed to making sure that you have a variety of different supports to help you um, through your academics as well as personally. Again, this is a small list, but not a finite list of just some of the supports that we have. We have peer counselors, we have counseling, accessible learning services for people who have learning accommodations. If you are coming directly from high school and in high school you had an individual education plan that gave you some accommodations, you might consider re-upping that in your college career and visiting accessible learning services to see how that can happen. We have a tutoring and learning center as well as library workshops to help you with your research and online learning support. Some of us older people are not used to learning online and it might take a little bit of a learning curve. Housing and food banks. We also have career supports while you're in George Brown as well as as an alumni of George Brown. And we also have the Student Association that does student advocacy and runs a variety of different extracurriculars for our students as well. So why choose the SSW program? The George Brown College SSW program has an extremely excellent reputation in the sector. We are known for our commitment to social justice and our anti-oppressive practice, and for sending out students that are more than capable in the field. Our faculty are very diverse and their experience as well as their social location. We are very dedicated to our teaching. We have on top of our full-time faculty, we have a variety of contract faculty who are actively working in the field right now, who are coming from working in a variety of places that you may have placement and coming to share and teach with you their best practices. Because of that, there's a lot of opportunity to network in the field, not just throughout class, not just with your profs, but in your placement as well. Graduates are an essential service, and we know more, especially coming out of COVID, we know how important social services is, and there is a lot of room for our graduates in that field. Also, if you decide to move on after George Brown, our graduates can gain advanced standing in a Bachelor of Social Work program in a variety of universities in the GTA as well as outside the GTA, as long as you meet the criteria for that program. What will guarantee your success in this program? You'll be successful if you are passionate about human rights and social justice. This will definitely be a place for you to thrive. You need to also be committed to working with diverse communities. Be professional and mature in your approach to education, your approach to field work, and 100% be willing to work in groups and be a good, productive, contributing group participant, as well as being open to learning not just from your professors, but from your peers as well. You need to be able to be prepared to learn and work from an anti-oppressive, intercultural, sensitive approach, right? Knowing that there are going to be a wide variety and diversity of people that you're working with, as well as in your classrooms, right? That is a core to our program. That is a strength in our program. Remember that success will also be determined by your ability to demonstrate professional and ethical conduct in all learning environments. And by all learning environments, I mean not just the classroom, but placement, but in your online spaces, in the wider college community, right? This program is a rehearsal for how you will act in the field. So you need to start that now, right? Take on a course load of 18 to 20 hours a week. Remember that, yes, you're in class for 18 hours a week, but you're also going to need to be able to factor in your time to do your coursework, to be able to write your assignments and do the reading. We don't tend to have we don't tend to be heavy on the reading, but there is a certain amount of work that you're going to have to do on your own. I would conservatively say 2 hours per class a week, but that also will depend on your learning style and your time management, right? You need to be open to being challenged, to having your perspectives and horizons broadened. For that, you will be rewarded. In terms of job market and future education, as I said, this is a skill-based program. It's hands-on. It's not so reliant on book learning as in universities, but on actually working case studies and working together and really having an understanding or and replicating the things that you will encounter in the field. Right. So again, lots of opportunity for networking, lots of opportunity through placement and through your meeting your peers to make those connections. Um, when you graduate from the program, part-time work is or shift work is not unusual for a new graduate. It's necessary, but it can open the door to full-time employment opportunities, as well as allowing you to experience work in a variety of different agencies because you might be doing a part-time or a shift work at two different agencies. So you may get to see the work from two different perspectives. Our graduates have access to our career center and alumni support. The starting salary, actually, that number has been changed now. I would say it's more 45, would be the starting salary, but the job market can fluctuate. If you wanted to take a quick look, you could look up on a job website like Charity Village and put in social service worker and see what the average salaries and wages are. And again, like we said, you can gain advanced standing into BSW, Bachelor of Social Work programs across the GTA and different universities. Our admission requirements, you need to have your Ontario Secondary School diploma or equivalent. And in that diploma, you have to have your grade 12 English, which is grade 12 4C, and you have to have a grade of 70, or you have your 4U, and your 4U grade would have to be 65 or higher. If you are a mature student who is 19 years of age or older and you don't have your Ontario Secondary School diploma, you can take the admission assessment for English test, or you can opt to upgrade to achieve your English credits. So not having your high school diploma is not a barrier if you are over 19. We still gladly accept mature students. In terms of the fees, you can go on to the George Brown website, look under C119, and it will show you an approximation of our most recent fees. Our program is approved for OSAP funding, providing that you meet the OSAP eligibility. Understand that us in SSW have no control over OSAP funding or what the eligibility is, so you should go to the OSAP website directly. We try not to have many books for our students. I think you only have to buy 2 books in first semester and possibly 1 book in second year. So we try and keep the cost down. So that approximately $300 would be for all your books for your whole time in the program. How to apply. So you can apply online through the ontariocolleges.ca, our OCAS, and the code for our 2-year program is C119. You should apply early because we do tend to fill up in February or March for our September intake. Know that you can email myself, Charlene Dunstan, or Patty Hayes at this email, sswcoordinators at georgebrown.ca, if you have any further questions. But understand that the applications don't come directly to us. So emailing us to find out if we received your application or when you can hear back or you forgot something in your application, we have no control over that. We don't see any of that. So you would have to reach out directly to, if you got an email from George Brown saying something was missing, you would have to um, um, reach out to whoever sent you the email or go back through OCAS until your application is processed. So understand that coming through this program, you will be changed. We want that change to happen, right? We want you to be able to have things challenged and feel like, that's not how I grew up, or I never thought about it that way. And you might feel a little bit of discomfort when those things happen. We want you to be able to lean into that discomfort. Though that discomfort is your synaptic nerves rewiring with new information, and that's never a bad thing. So thank you for your time. I'm hoping that I gave you enough information to make an informed decision and choose George Brown's social service worker program as your next journey. Thank you.